Thanks for staying with us. The Democratic Alliance is on a campaign to lobby other opposition parties to be part of what it calls a Moonshot Pact in order to topple the African National Congress for the 2024 national elections. DA leader John Steenhuisen over the weekend gave an update of party leaders that are interested in the pact and pleaded with those who declined his invite to reconsider his national convention. ANC Veteran Omry Makgoale joins us now to give us his views on the matter. Very good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time. We sort of saw the mixed reaction this weekend after DA leader John Steenhuisen's announcement of that Moonshot Pact as he called for forces to come together and unseat the governing ANC at the 2024 national elections. Now, given the current state of the economy, the issues of load shedding and service delivery and so forth, can the DA dislodge the ANC from power? And also looking at the reaction to that Moonshot Pact.
Yes, I think they do have a chance, but as to whether they can do it is another matter altogether. The problems for the country are there. Everybody can see load shedding, infrastructure damaged, and all that, and malfunctioning of the economy and so on. So everybody can see that. But as to whether the DA does have the whether the DA can manage to topple the ANC, I still doubt at the moment. The only thing that I think is an advantage for the DA is that the ANC continues with corruption without stopping, and the corruption continues, and there appears no hope. I mean, whether it's you look at the prisons with the escapes of Montabo Bester and the others, everywhere is just corruption, disappointment, and the load shedding still continues. But for the DA to topple the ANC, to dislodge the ANC, they would need much more than that. You know, they need to establish this coalition, and first they need to get the ANC to be under 50% of the vote. And as to whether the DA can manage to do that, I don't know. Whether they can manage to have the ANC under 50% of the vote. And after the ANC being under 50% of the vote, whether they can manage to get the coalitions to be above 51%, the DA themselves, or whether the ANC can get another partner to reach 51%. So it's not going to be straightforward, and it's not going to be easy.
You speak about the establishment of the coalition, and we know that some of the reaction that has come in, for instance, from the ACDP, speaking about the DA's approach and its treatment of coalition partners, which is not the first time we've heard complaints about that aspect.
Yes, I think the DA has not been good in courtship, I would say. Courtship in terms of coalitions. As you might remember that Dr. Mpopalazi was removed as mayor of Johannesburg, maybe, I don't know, whether 2 months before she campaigned to be a president of, the federal leader. And the coalitions in Gauteng, of course, Metro, Ekurhuleni, Tshwane, Johannesburg, have not been ideal for the DA. So it doesn't perform well on record. The DA doesn't perform well in coalitions. And so as to whether next year it will have learned and performed better, I don't know. And the ACDP, of course, of Reverend Mishwe, they've indicated that they are not very pleased with the way the DA normally handles coalitions. So I think the DA must really go on a workshop of how to handle coalitions. And at the moment, I think they are not performing well in terms of coalitions.
Yeah. And other matters, the DA's perceptions around race relations within the party. How can the DA deal with those perceptions around race? Because that in itself remains a very relevant topic.
Yes, the race issue is a big problem in the DA. And of course, they try and pretend and pretend it's not there. But if you look at the DA, it's led by white males. Mainly. Even women, female white females are very few in the leadership positions. And so it's basically a white male-led organization. And most of the black leaders, whether it's Lindy Woma Zibuku, Musi Maimani, Hemen Mashaba, Imbalin Tuli, they've left. And then Baloyi, the guy who was the mayor in this side, they've left the DA. And the question is, why do they leave the DA if the DA is supposed to be a party of the new South Africa, So, but they leave because they are uncomfortable in the DA, because the white males that are leading the DA make it uncomfortable for most of the other, black leaders. That's why they left. And so I think that they still have a challenge on how they handle black leaders. And of course, in the Western Cape, it is known that whites and coloreds live better than most black Africans in the Western Cape. And so the question is, can we trust the DA with the rest of the country? Are they not going to introduce this whites and coloreds in every province or every town where they live? That is the question that I think the DA needs to answer. And I'm saying that in this article, that until they can address this issue of race properly, until they can make sure that black African leaders are comfortable in the leadership of the DA or within the DA, there's very little hope for them to really take over the ANC next year. That's what I think. But they have a chance to improve. They have a chance to work on it, and they can do something about it before 2024.
Yeah, the trust issue is really an interesting take there, because what you're essentially saying that perhaps how the DA is taking care of white and colored areas and often neglecting black areas is not encouraging, and perhaps an indication of what a DA would look like if it would run national government, if elected. Okay, I think we may have lost our guest there. Okay, yeah, we do appear to have lost our guest, but of course, ANC Veteran Omry Makgoale, they're giving us some insight. I don't know if you're able to hear me, if we're back on the same on the same line and the connection. I was referring to what you were saying there about just referencing how you were saying that the ANC may have good policies but often hampered by corruption, while the DA, as a white male party, takes care of the interests of white and colored people with a history of neglecting black people. Is that an indication, of course, looking at the trust issues of what a DA-run government would look like if elected? And also asking the question around some of the options that may be on the table for voters as we go into election.
Yes. I think it's a point that the DA must consider. Because if they want to be a national party in the country in South Africa, we have majority 75% of the black Africans in South Africa. So they need really to take them on board. They need to have confidence in the DA. But at the moment, the way it's treating the black Africans in the Western Cape is not encouraging, in the Western Cape. So most of the friends, the relatives I have in the Western Cape, the comrades I have, they tell me the same story, that they are at the bottom of the heap in the Western Cape. It's white and colored, and then the black Africans are at the bottom of the heap. So I'm asking myself, if they were to be in charge of Gauteng, what's going to happen? Am I going to be at the bottom of the heap? And that's the question that every citizen asks himself. So I think that the DA still has a lot to do, to move from that image of a white male-led party to a democratic party befitting of South Africa with its population, ratios, as they are. So at the moment, there's only one black leader in that leadership of the DA, Solly Malatsi. So, and it's a bad reflection. It means that there's no competent black leaders in the DA. Only Solly Malatsi is considered as credible enough in terms of the DA black Africans, So I'm disappointed with that, because I'm disappointed as a citizen if they were to be in charge tomorrow, what is there for me and my children? You know, that's what I'm thinking about, you know, all the time.
We saw the EFF's national shutdown, the impact and the readiness and the sort of moves that were made to ensure that the day doesn't become chaotic. In looking at the role of opposition parties, do you think they're doing enough to win voters over?
At the moment, the opposition parties are still fractured and they are not organized really to win over as I see them. The ANC will go down, but as to whether these opposition parties have got anything to, you know, to put on the table, very few of them have anything solid to put on the table. Of course, other parties are new, like Herman Mashaba's party is new, Musi Maimani's party is new. Those are still new, but basically the opposition parties have not been doing enough. And they've not offered South Africans solid options, you know, in terms of, you know, as compared to what the ANC has been doing. Of course, the ANC has been, my party has been a disappointment with extreme corruption from the leaders, you know, throughout the provinces, you know, corruption throughout. And it has been a disappointment for me as a member for more than 50 years now. But the opposition parties, I think they're not doing enough in my mind. And so we're likely next year to have a coalition of maybe ANC with other parties in government continue. And this is why we believe that the solution to the South African problem is the parliamentary electoral reforms. We need to change the parliamentary laws so that we allow South African citizens to directly elect their members of parliament where they live. No, not under this current system where they have to vote for a party and the party gives them a list of people, and in some cases they just give them a list of crooks, and the population have no chance to do anything about it.
And how do you believe we should be looking at changing parliamentary roles, as of course there are so many loopholes in the system?
Yeah, I think South African society basically, we need to campaign to change this parliamentary law. At the moment, of course, there are changes that are taking place after they were initiated by New Nation movement, but it's not yet enough. And so the current law that has been presented to the president is not satisfactory to meet the requirements that we expect as the population. What we need majority of members of parliament to be directly elected by the citizens, not appointed by the party headquarters. We know the party headquarters have been captured. The party headquarters are not safety. You know, they cannot guard the constitution. The party headquarters. Only the citizens of South Africa can actually take care of South Africa, much more than party headquarters of any political party. So that's why we need majority of the members of parliament to be directly elected by the citizens.
Very well. Thank you so much. Thanks for weighing in on this discussion. ANC Veteran Omry Makgoale.